Okay, guys, let's look at a couple more. So, the same questions. What's in the foreground? Let's talk about our first composition. What's in the foreground? I see these, I think they're like tongue or leaf shapes. They kind of look like tongues. Tongue shapes in front of this kind of starburst, spiraling starburst in the background. So these, and notice how they've employed grouping and similarity. So even though that they're farther apart, so at least, even though this is isolated, I still see this as a part of the group. So we have this shape, this shape, this shape, all in the foreground. Let's move to our last composition. Oh, and look, they've blackened or filled in with black all of these other shapes. And this patterning, this fire pattern, is now in front. Look at the way they've overlapped and used these kind of shapes here to help accent and break up the silhouette. I kind of like that. It's more successful here than it is here, I think. Here, I think it could have been better. I would give the first composition, well, they use that spiral, it's kind of boring, but, or it needs some improvement, or TLC, right? I would give that a 75/80. The second one, there's a lot of detail here that I appreciate, maybe an 85. And the middle one, we should see a flip. And again, I think this falls under that same mantra that we've said before, that there's so much going on that it's difficult for me to tell where this patterning ends or begins. I think, is that an eye? I think that's is this a dragon or something? I can't tell. It's difficult for me to tell because everything seems to be the same line weight. Yes, we have some delineation here, which we get some shadowing, and we have some stippling here that's going on that I appreciate. But again, there's so much going on, especially with this same kind of droplet or fire patterning with these spikes on the end, that it's difficult to tell like what is what. It's almost like it turns into a Where's Waldo situation. So tough to tell, but I appreciate the detail and the effort that went into it. Maybe 85%. Let's move on. Okay, so there is an easy way that I like to get around this exercise, and that is to extrude or add perspective or thickness or depth to a shape, and that's what this student did. So the difficult part around this is to make sure that it's only depth that's perceived in one way, right? Because a lot of times when students add depth, they do it where it's actually can work both ways, so it actually works against them. So let's see if that works here. I see this bottom area as the figure or in the foreground, because this shadow, which is consistent on all of these shapes, makes me believe that there's a light source over here casting a shadow on the right side. Let's see if it works if this top part has thickness. It doesn't really work in that direction, so I think that this is successful. This is a 90-95 piece. Effective, simple, the interesting shapes, nice craftsmanship. Let's see on this next one, this last one. Let's see, the same type. And again, it doesn't reverse on itself. So this top part is the figure. And again, nice craftsmanship, nice and precise. The middle one, they're both filled with patterning, except for these circles, which is kind of throwing me off. I don't know how that plays into it. Maybe it would have been a better idea to actually complete those circles. Those are very distracting. And I do see these as, one on top and the other on top. I'm trying to see another way around it. Another way that I see this is that this area, these lines going back, are the extruded or the side part of this face. So that means this is the side that's facing you, and it's basically like a big wall that's going down. Let's see if I can try to reverse that so it goes inward. That's tough to do. A lot of times when we look at these, a student's favorite comment is, "This is hurting my brain." And that's what the middle figure ground reversal is supposed to do. It's supposed to hurt your brain or make you think a lot, so much that it's confusing at the best of times. So be ready for that. Let's move on.